Okay, today I want to talk about my piece here. This is the Morning Ride 2. I have earlier, much earlier 3D piece titled Morning Ride, and it kind of fits the same theme of like a princess type warrior being riding on her steed, that type of thing. The original of this one actually had like a sunrise, a blood red sun behind her. I don't, I don't think this one does though. But we're here to talk about drawing. So this is the drawing aspect of it. This is not using, so this is when I took a break, a brief break, like one drawing break from my heavy line approach. This is actually using the pencil that I made for myself, right? And what happened was I had taken a break from doing the heavy line, and then I started to do a lot of drawing on vellum. The original piece of this actually started on vellum, traditional. So this is the original. This is pretty. This is a correction of the original. A correction of the original, right? So the original was done on vellum. I scanned it in, and then I started to draw. I started to draw again, but then I started to rearrange, and fix, and all that. Um, and and this is the final digital drawing. And I really fell in love with it I was able I was able to develop the pen because I was working on vellum, which is something I really like to draw on. When I said I want to make some corrections digitally, and I want to be able to see it backward, and I want to, free myself up from the static aspect of just being on the drafting table with one view. But in the process of doing that, I wind up finally developing a pencil profile that matched almost identical. It felt very identical to when I drew on vellum. So I just started kept on drawing and drawing and drawing, and then almost redid it. Almost redid it. That type of freedom. Um, so let's see. So this is how. So this is not the hardcore intuitive drawings. So the hardcore intuitive drawings are the heavy line work, and that stuff happens very fast. So this is more of a logical mind drawing, and so this takes a long for me. This takes longer. Not a lot of revision. It's because the strokes are so much more take longer to generate. In other words, that's what I said before. Let's say so we have our baby doll here, right? So we got the baby doll style happening. Obviously, that's my whole thing. Um, but and doing it with my traditional pencil, I'm working like this, right? Create the barrel and chest kind of a thing, and I'm breaking it out, and then I would go in and start to flesh it, flesh out different things. But I always first build it. I build out like this would be like from her hand. I always build out like a layer first, and then I go in when I do traditional, right? My traditional drawing. I always do. Let me bring this down so you can see. I always do like a foundational structure first of some sort. Not the whole skeleton. It becomes like a combination of things. So if I'm doing an arm, I may do like, hey, I do a circle only to say this is my starting point, right? This is my starting point, right? I'll go like here, elbow, then down to hand, right? Then I'll go in and break it down into the volumes I want, like that. I do it really quick, and then I go over what I call what they call fleshing out. Then I flesh it out with form, right? Hopefully you can see that. Then I flesh it out with form. Are we going a little too? I like how light is this stuff. And you see how this is actually not black. This is actually it's like a very low value of a burnt sienna kind of a thing. I prefer to work like that when it comes to doing the pencil, and instead of working in gray or in black like when I do my intuitive. When I do intuitive, it has to be jet black. When I work traditionally, this tone here. And then what I usually do is I'll draw everything like this, and then I'll build it, or I'll multiply it. Then I'll just turn multiply on so it goes darker. For some reason, I stay. It's just like when anybody uses like a number two pencil. You feel looser, right? You feel like you can come up with more. When you use black, it's like definitive. It's like whatever you lay down, it is kind of a thing. And so, and since I'm working with these like layered approaches, right? Then then for some reason that this brown, this I don't know, this bird sienna kind of brown works with my with how my brain works. That's the only way I can describe it. And so that's what you wanted here. Let's have something flying off of her thing here. I see we have one here, so might as well have some ribbons of some sort, right? Or even some feathers, right? Branching off, right? You can do all kinds of stuff, right? And then that keeps me from outlining too, because you can't outline. In other words, like when you labor the drawing and you wind up outlining and outlining and out, in other words, you wind up going so heavy at times that you basically wind up outlining the form. So working in this value keeps me from doing that, and it keeps the drawing fresh to me, right? So what I like the most about it is, well, not the most about it, but let's take a look here. Okay, so we break down this fuchsia. Should we do fuchsia? Okay, fuchsia work or pinkish. Um, so so all the initial structure and everything this was done traditionally. Well, that's what we'll do, right? Um, and so just this is what I'm thinking when I was working on it, just in order to maintain the perspective of things. This I was very keen on trying to keep it in a three-quarter view as much as possible without it going too flat. Like his head is not doing that. His head is going this way. So technically, his head is actually that's there, but it's actually going this way, right? So it should look actually like this. This. It's actually like this and up and yep. But it's actually a weird angle because his head is actually downward a little bit, right? His head's actually downward a little bit, but then I leaned the jaw a bit at the top piece, so it's not exactly 100% on the three-dimensional rectangular three-quarter view shape. But that was what I was focused on. The I like having multiple characters. When I do the intuitive stuff, it all depends what comes out. Sometimes I think people writing characters, but a lot of this stuff is standalone individual characters. Um, but I like to combine characters together. This goes, as a matter of fact, I had Morning Ride, but then Morning Ride goes back to the earlier comic book postery piece that I did, um, with the woman riding the beast, warrior woman riding the beast, right? So it's all part of that same kind of theme that keeps coming out. Um, Same thing, but the baby doll, and the hips starting high. Technically, her hips could start a little higher than what I have here, right? Okay, head structure. Okay, and it was actually fun because what made it so fun is because I spent so much time doing the intuitive stuff, um, that is like that whole like analytical approach to drawing was like gnawing at me. Like in other words, I wanted to do a drawing that took a lengthy period of time. I really did actually. Something I could just get immersed in like day after day. This took a couple of days get the final form. Well, this is not something that, not because it was difficult, but because of how I wanted the structures to be. So it's not like the intuitive ones where I'm just going to go bow like that. Okay. But nonetheless, let's get a center line here, right? Nonetheless, so this is, I guess, I call it morning ride 2, but it's technically, it should be morning ride 3, because it's a third piece that I have it look like this. So I'll call it morning ride 3. It's technically it's not titled. This is the core. This is the core of it. All right. Let's look at that in reverse. You see, she's still working in reverse. That's great. And this is with full color. Somewhere in here. Somewhere in here is full color. Somewhere in here. Okay. Right. Oh, and let's see. Let's see. Can we do I have enough time? Just with the occlusion, since I talk about that a lot. No, all color off. Occlusion. Whoa! Look at the crazy. Look at the crazy splatter here. Okay. So that's some crazy undertone there. Okay. I'm getting from this view too. All right. Okay. Let me just drop that out. Get back to the drawing. Okay. So in either case, I will call this Morning Ride 3 since I actually never titled it. All right. And I'll actually do the thumbnail with her facing backward, which is pretty cool, I think. Okay. All right. And that's it. Thanks.